Have you ever seen a bunch of pills on a counter and the pills say, drink these pills, take these pills, and you're gonna lose weight really quick? You're just gonna take these pills, you'll never be hungry again. And then, if you're not hungry, then weight loss is super freaking easy. This thing surprises me because I actually went on to ClickBank and found the number one health product out there, the number one weight loss product. And it was this thing called like African red tea. You might have even had it before. And I looked on the cover of what this African red tea was, and it was some like crazy story about someone who, found this Indian tribe in Africa, and like the Indian tribe would have like the snake venom into their tea, and this snake venom would like force the body to not be hungry and shed pounds. And that's like the whole premise of these pills that you see in the over the counter in stores, appetite suppressant pills, hunger reduction pills, whatever you call them. They say restrict your hunger and weight loss becomes easy. And they sell like freaking crazy because, if you've ever tried to lose weight before, you stop eating as much food and things go pretty good, but then you get a little hungry and you could kind of not worry about it for a while, but after a certain point, it's like you give in, so to speak. It just becomes uncomfortable. It's not like you're freaking dying. Maybe you were. Maybe you were on this like really big calorie restricted diet and you were dying. But for a lot of people, it's just uncomfortable. It's just like, you start thinking about food. You start staring at food. I know as a wrestler, back in college, not in college, high school, I would just stare at food like, I just catch myself staring at food like, yeah. And even when I was a monk, I was still going through some of these issues. I don't think the Buddhist lifestyle that I lived for a long time really promoted unhealthy eating, but I think I was in it. And we'd have these days off. Once every, I think 5 days, we'd have a day off. And we could basically eat as much food as we wanted to on those days. And I remember just stuffing myself, like, and going back to my bed because I'd have the day off and like no one would know. So I would like eat a shit ton of food and then I'd just go lay down. And then it's just get in my head about it, feel weird, cycle repeats. If I had some diet pills back then, I probably would have went for them. But I'm here to tell you today that those don't work at all, period. Period. Forget about restricting your hunger, okay? Forget about it. If you restrict your hunger will go up no matter what. If your hunger goes up, you will have a really, really hard time sustaining weight loss. I want to tell you this crazy story about people who, 35 women, 35 adults, 22 women. The link to the study's down below. It was a 2-year study. And these participants, they had, I think like 3 or 4 5-week training sessions over 2 years. And these training sessions were daily exercise, daily, nutrition tips, how to eat healthy, etc. But the premise was diet and exercise is what leads to weight loss. That's the whole premise. And so they were, they had support, like, they had training, like 3 or 4 5-week sessions. It's like 15 weeks or 20 weeks of training over 2 years. People they're in it. They're doing this the best they can. And the study reported their hunger went up. It went up. it even went up more as they kept the weight off. So they lost weight initially, right? And their hunger went up. And it stayed up. They kept the weight off. They're really motivated, really disciplined, yada yada yada, really really good about that whole thing. And I see my armpit hair. Oh wow. Damn, that's sexy. Probably won't wear this next time. Anyways, got distracted there. Their hunger goes up. Sorry. Ah. Their hunger goes up, and I'm sorry, that was funny to me. Their hunger goes up initially, but then it goes up even more between years 1 and 2. So they kept the weight off, but they're getting even hungrier. Like, I want you to think about it. If you're trying to lose weight, and let's say you do lose it, but if you're really hungry the whole time you keep the weight off, is it worth it? I mean, honestly, open-ended question. It might be worth it. It might be worth it, right? Like, losing weight, not having people stare at you or whatever, not, just feeling good about yourself, just fitting into some clothes, just not, not lugging around so much weight. Like, that's worth it, right? That's worth it. That's good. And on the other hand, is constantly having hunger, is that worth it? Open-ended question. I'm not saying that there's any right or wrong here. No right or wrong. But if there was a kind of a different way where you could forget about this, but probably attain it, right? So like forget about the good looks and the weight loss, and then also forget about the hunger restriction too. And by doing something differently, you'd probably get to weight loss and stuff like that, but it wouldn't be the goal. That's the whole point of this series, right? The paradox of weight loss and enlightenment is forget about weight loss. Forget about restriction. Restriction is like this illusion. It's this illusion that you can do it for a short period of time and be happy, because that's just a lie. You can't do it for a short period of time. Even if you do, you're still freaking hungry, and that's not going to make you happy, right? Or you're, not going to be as happy. There's a better way. There's a yoga, so to speak. There's a path, a practical scientific path where you can, instead of ignoring your hunger, instead of suppressing your hunger, you can realize that hunger is your inner guide. Hunger is your inner guide. It's your truth, right? Like in yoga, they say yoga is uniting. They traditionally say yoga is uniting body and mind to higher source, to God, whatever. And kind of in this weight loss enlightenment framework, we're saying like the yoga of weight loss is uniting, is linking, is connecting back to that primal desire for food. The evolutionary desire for food is the starting point. I want to share with you kind of just how one way to think about that, okay? Because there was another study. This one had 218 retired or post ex female college athletes. So 218 girls who were athletes in college. And as athletes in college, they had something called disordered eating, which in this case, the study defines it, link below, defines it as, like, appetite suppressing, not eating, binge eating, just not being satisfied, going back and forth. It's a big definition. There are other cases where disordered eating is more narrowly defined, but this one was more open-ended. And so they felt liberated, quote unquote. They felt liberated, right? That's what weight loss enlightenment is all about, liberating you from restriction, okay? Now the key, right? If you're in this cycle, if you're in this back and forth cycle, weight loss, wondering what to do, diets, this, that, feeling confused, you're in this cycle, feeling miserable, and you're wondering what to do, and you start hearing about this hunger stuff. Hunger being the yoga, the uniting to hunger and this pathway. The key was they had to, I believe the quote was, effortfully, they had to use effort. Like, this isn't just some walk in the park, but they had to use effort to reinterpret, they had to use effort, work, right? Work to learn, relearn how to listen to their hunger cues. So like, think about it this way, okay, like kids, right? Kids are so natural, right? Oftentimes, like, wise people, they say it takes a lot of practice. Leonardo da Vinci, right? Or something like that, I forget. Leonardo da Vinci or Galileo, someone, I don't know, Michelangelo, they said it takes a lot of wisdom, a lot of life experience, a lot of practice to become childlike again. I'm going to find that quote too, and I'll figure it out. But they said it takes a lot of practice to become childlike again, right? Like children, they're naturally joyful. They're happy, they're good, yada, yada, yada. And the same thing is true with your hunger. You have to, if you've been twisted in the diet restriction cycle and thinking that you even need a goddamn appetite suppressant, like just the thought of that means you are not in touch with your hunger. Isn't that sad? Isn't that, like, it's kind of eye-opening. It's a little sad that you might even be thinking that. It's not your fault. The diet industry is tricking you. They're making a lot of money off people with selling the over-counter things that it seems like that's a quick answer, and it's just a fucking lie. What's it called? I'm getting mixed up in my thoughts right now, but that's okay. Something really important I want to convey to you. It takes effort to relearn, okay? You have this natural, enlightenment is peace within. It's inner peace within. You have inner peace within you. You don't need to go anywhere. Like, you have a body. You were a kid one time who was naturally joyful. You still have a body. You still have the potential to have a natural, effortless relationship with food that's just kind of easy going. You have that potential. But you have to, if you've been twisted through the diet cycle and been even thinking about pills, you need to use some effort to relearn. Effort to relearn, okay? So you need to start listening to hunger signals, yada, yada, yada. I have a free session. You can just contact me if you want to get a free session where you can get kind of a blueprint on how you can actually start doing this day to day. So schedule that if you want to. But otherwise than that, I want you to just realize that this over-the-counter nonsense is freaking nonsense. It's not good at all. There is no good over-the-counter appetite suppressant, okay? Because it's the exact opposite of realizing the truth. The truth is your hunger is natural. Your hunger is good. It's your inner guide. And when you freaking suppress that, it's like you're cutting yourself off from the truth, from wisdom, from any chance of a normal relationship with food. Like, you're just going to be dependent on appetite suppressant pills your entire life. Like, what about the tolerance that comes as you build up tolerance, right? Any single pill or drug you take, you build up tolerance. Like, you're going to be taking 10... I get worked up about this, all right? I get worked up about this. Really care for people. I want to... I really feel that the world, this time has come for the freaking world to at least not maybe not the world, maybe that's too big of a goal or a dream, but at least people who are struggling with food to realize, it's within, baby. It's within. It's nowhere else. It takes work. But it's a good type of work, it's not something, it's not fake, you put in the work and you actually get something. Instead of losing weight and having the weight come back, you actually get something that lasts, get something that goes into other areas of your life. So, that's what I love talking about. I love helping people with. Again, you don't even have to schedule a free strategy session, but there is a training video down below where you can kind of look at my approach and so forth. Otherwise than that, get on the email list, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Ask me any questions, connect with me at Jared_Levinson. I'm on everywhere, kind of. Love to just hear from you. And that's it. Peace.